visitors with us? There are visitors with us today. If anyone wants to unmute and tell us who you are, we'd like to welcome you to the meeting. I'm Carol Kerr, I'm the president of this board. Hi.
I'm Ike Pulver, director at the Saratoga Springs Public Library.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank
you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Verheeden, assistant director at Clifton Park.
Great, thank you. I know who Jen Flores is.
Go ahead, Pat.
I'm Pat Gazda, and I'm an interested spectator, a patron of the Schenectady Public Library.
Okay, thank you.
And hi, I'm Jen Ferris. I'm at the Saratoga Springs Public Library. I'm the assistant director.
Is there any public comment? Would anyone like to make a statement? Hearing none, we will continue. Board members, approval of the board meetings of June 18th, 2024. You should all have received it. Any comments or corrections? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Sue, second. Linda, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Bob, treasurer's reports for June, July, and August.
June, July, and August. So we'll start off with June. The end of May, we had $1,650,000 during the month of June. No unusual receipts received. We had receipts of $47,287, and we spent $219,000 in round numbers for the month, leaving us with $1,478,906 at the end of June. No changes in our CDs in the month of June. So in the month of July, we started off with the $1,479,000. In the month of July, as you can see, most of our state aid came in. So we had a total of $1,819,538 at the of receipts for the month. And in addition to the state aid that came in, we also had Warren County aid, which comes in and goes right back out to the Warren County libraries. And during the month of July, we spent $252,000, which left us with a balance of $3,046,158 at the end of July. We have one CD that matured actually in the month of September. You'll see that that's listed as 9/16. When I renewed that, I renewed it at 4.6%, which is what it was at for 91 days, which brings that one will mature on 12/16 of 24. In the month of August, we started out with the $3,046,158, just normal receipts of the joint automation fees and some New York State Love Your Library aid for a total of $44,053, and we spent $325,000, and that left us with a balance of $2,764,887. And I mentioned that we renewed the one CD that matured. We have two that will mature in the month of October, and depending upon how our cash flow, we do a cash flow projection report that I look at, and that's when I decide, if we're going to renew or if we're going to, cash them in for cash flow. Warrants were in your packets. If you have any questions on any of the treasurer's reports or the warrants, speak up now.
I do. On the treasurer reports, I was plowing around in the detailed stuff. The salaries, the numbers on the salaries, they vary wildly on the 3 months, and I don't think I'm reading this right, or I don't understand why.
It could be that and I don't know which particular month you're talking about.
Well, I'm looking at June versus July versus August.
Okay, if there happens to be 3 payrolls in a month, it's going to vary.
Yeah, the numbers were like 77 grand, 42 grand, and negative 14 grand. Right. Line A140.
So you're talking about the budget report, unfortunately.
I was all getting together in this.
Colleen's not here, she will be here.
Okay.
But I can give you an explanation for that.
All right, it may be just. I need to learn something, but. And I looked at the monthly expense for July, it shows $77,000 the monthly expense. 92 is the cash reimbursement, and then -14 is the total sales expense.
Okay, it also can depend upon when we get reimbursed by JA. You know, when
Like
automatically,
when in the month. Okay.
and, you know, if they happen to not reimburse in one particular month, and the next month they do, that could cause
That would
negative.
Yeah, all right, I'm happy to roll on that.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions about the budget reports, trustees reports? Hearing none, we will accept the reports and add them to the minutes. Director's report, Jill.
Hi, everyone. I'm filling in for Sarah this month. So I'm gonna go over a little bit of what she's put in her director's report, and you can let me know if you have questions. So Sarah's been visiting a bunch of library boards and some topics of discussion she's been going over with them is an overview of SALS and the joint automation services, recent changes and the fees for 2025. Required trustee continuing education and making sure that they think about having solid and enforceable library policies. Members of the Audit and Finance Committee and Personnel Committee met on August 20th, 2024 to review the 2025 SALS draft budget. The 2025 draft budget is included in the SALS board packet, and after the board reviews the draft budget at this meeting, it will be shared with the member library directors. Comments will be shared at the October SALS board meeting, where we would vote on that to adopt that budget. Thank you to Colleen Smith and Bob Jeffords for their work in developing the draft budget. The SALS Building Committee met earlier today to review the New York State Public Library construction applications and the SALS parking lot project. The board will be voting on these later on in the meeting. Sarah Dallas, Jill Ryder, Michelle Largatow, and Eric Trahan have been working together on matters relating to the Schenectady County Public Library's decision to leave the JA. As it stands now, this is expected to occur in mid-December of 2024. Colleen and Bob have been working on responding to 2 follow-up questions from the annual comptroller's AFR report filed in April. And Colleen has been working with Nikon's HR partner, John Kuznia, to oversee a complete revision of the SALS employee handbook. Pamela Del Signor has been answering questions from the member library trustees and staff to help them complete their New York State library construction applications. So thank you to Pamela. And working with Paul Mays, Pamela has completed the SALS parking lot construction application. SALS has served for a number of years correctional facilities in our service area. One of those, Great Meadow Correctional Facility, is set to close in November of 2024. As of right now, all of the items that our libraries have loaned to Great Meadow have been returned. We won't be filling any more requests for materials from them. And that leaves Washington Correctional as our only prison that is served by the system currently. In terms of joint automation, a little bit of an update on what's been going on with them. There have been several planning meetings to prepare. There were several planning meetings to prepare for the second transition team meeting. That transition team is a team made up of representatives from Schenectady County IT, Schenectady County Public Library, Joint Automation, SALS, and MBLS staff members. And I can report that, you know, after there have been 2 meetings of that transition team, And, everyone is working very well together towards a path of, you know, mutual satisfaction for everyone to get to the end goal. Schenectady County Public Library requested, an initial data pull in August, which JA staff prepared in less than a week. It was decided that they did not need that data pull in the end. It turns out that they are moving to another III, Innovative is the company that owns Polaris. They're moving to another III product. So they will do that data pull for us for free. So it was determined by the transition team that that would be done by III and not by JA staff. SEPL has provided updates for their initial withdrawal. As I stated, that is planned at this time to be by mid-December of 2024. We disabled reciprocal borrowing as of August 31st, 2024, and this was announced to the member libraries approximately 2 weeks, I think, prior to that date. Jill Ryder and Michelle Largito are working on goals for the soon-to-be formed Materials Return Committee. That committee will work to discuss items and delivery planning post SEPL exit from the Polaris ILS and JA. The draft 2025 JA budget has been prepared and shared with the board for approval later in the meeting. In uplifting news, Jason Thompson and I worked with Clifton Park staff to prepare the library to transition to fine-free at the beginning of September. And Jason also worked with Polaris to waive existing overdue fines for Clifton Park Capital patrons. So yay, Clifton Park. The Saratoga County Aid Grant has been submitted to the Saratoga County Administrator's Office. Our grant ask this year was $50,000 to purchase ebooks and e-audiobooks for the shared overdrive collection. In other fun news, our Facebook page, which Erica Freudenberger here at SALS does all wonderful things with, went viral in June. So we have quite a good online presence on Facebook, and we get a lot of interaction that way.
We also get influencer fees.
Yes. Yes, we get paid a little bit. I'm not sure what Erica does with that money.
It goes into our bank.
It goes into our bank.
Thank you, Colleen.
It's about 400 a month lately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This goes into the general fund.
And then in terms of technology and youth services, I just wanted to report that Jack Scott attended a webinar on the new Title II ADA regulations for websites and mobile apps. In April, the Department of Justice published a final rule under the Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act to ensure the accessibility of web content and mobile applications for people with disabilities. This final rule clarifies the obligations of state and local governments to make their websites and mobile apps accessible to people with disabilities. So our member libraries must meet the web content accessibility guidelines, AA standard for all of their digital content, including websites, social media content. And the time frame for meeting these guidelines is based on population. So SALS is planning some upcoming training on how and why we create accessible content for your patrons, and some of the content that might need to be addressed includes board minutes and agendas, newsletters, digital flyers, web content, and social media content. So we'll be getting everybody the information they need on that. And that concludes Sarah's director's report. Does anyone have questions of me?
I actually want to ask Jack. Jack, I thought when we set up our websites, they were supposed to be handicapped accessible. So what's this going on?
When we did your site is considered accessible structurally. It's content. So like if you're, not all PDFs are accessible, so we have to make sure that like when you're creating your Word documents for your board minutes, there's a little accessibility button, and you gotta go through and do all the things like that before you upload that content to your website. But also if you're creating digital flyers, like most of our libraries are doing, and posting that on Facebook or on your website, those flyers have to be accessible now. So Facebook, when you upload a picture to Facebook, so like one of Erica's, memes, she now has to click the alt text button and add the alt text to every image that's on our social media.
Okay, so our websites are accessible, but the content might not.
Yeah, it's really about the content more so.
Okay, thank you.
And I've been going through and checking, just like, there's other little things that like, make sure your contrasts are at the AA standard. There's like 3 different standards, the A standard, the
Thank you.
AA, and the AAA. And everything has to be AA standards now, so I'm going through and checking all those.
Thank you. Thanks. Any other questions for Jill? Thank you so much, Jill.
Can I make?
Yes, sure.
Tom, I found the answer to your question. If you look at the expense reimbursement report that you have.
Yep.
You'll see that in the month of June, there was nothing reimbursed.
Okay.
The month of July, there was 92,000, and in the month of August, it was like 33,000. So it's based upon the reimbursement that comes from DA.
So that will show up in other line items as well. I just noticed the salaries is actually.
And that's why we have that report, so that you can see the reimbursement.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
We'll do committee reports, audit and finance, Tom?
Sure, so, thanks. Audit and Finance met on the 20th of August, to review the budget proposed for 2025. Some great detailed content that was provided by Pauline and Bob. Then the Personnel Committee provided a recommendation regarding the salary increases for the staff. And, the 2025 budget sets the projections for revenues and expenditures that are very rational. There's a, line item in there for use on the general reserve, but it's consistent with the general reserve strategy. All the trustees are, should definitely understand the budget in detail and ask questions. But the audit and finance committee recommend approving the budget as it's framed.
And just so everyone knows, we will be reviewing this again. We will actually review the proposed budget under new business toward the end of the meeting. Bob, did you want to say something?
We actually won't be voting on the budget today. It'll be in October that you actually vote on.
Absolutely.
So that has to go to the number of libraries for their county.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Sure.
Building committee, Christine.
Yeah, so we met just before this meeting and we will make our recommendations later. But the good news is we had more than enough money to satisfy everybody's requests.
Again, we will bring that up under new business. Bylaws committee, Laura.
So, we need more trustees, and we can't seem to find trustees in Hamilton County, and with Jordan's retirement and Barbara's resigning also, I believe.
Yes.
It's been suggested that we change the description of what the 12 trustees should be composed of. And our attorney suggested the wording to change. It turns out that all we have to do is amend the bylaws, because it's not mentioned, the actual organization who comprises the trustees isn't mentioned anywhere else. So we only have to amend the bylaws, and it's pretty straightforward. Currently, it reads, the board shall be composed of 12 trustees, 3 residents each from Hamilton, Saratoga, Warren, and Washington counties. In a perfect world, which it has been. And now, after quite some time of looking for additions and replacements now, we're going to change that to the board shall be composed of 12 trustees, all of whom are residents of the area of service. The board shall always have at least one trustee from each county in the area of service. And she further advises adding the provision of the annual slate of nominees for trustee shall be developed to promote meaningful representation of the area of service. Because ideally, we would want every single county to have 3 representatives. So it would be a simple matter of making those additions, amending one statement and then adding another.
Okay, because, we did not receive this, 15 days before this meeting as our bylaws require, we cannot vote on it at this meeting. So we will, bring this up again at next month's meeting and we will, vote on it at that time. Does anyone have any questions or concerns right now?
So does that mean we still need one from Hamilton County?
We will, oh, yes.
We need to
We need
one.
we need
Just
more.
need a
So
trustee.
we have
Yes.
one now, but she's hanging on. I understand. I believe she would like to resign.
Mm-hmm.
And Barbara is resigned, will have resigned by the end of this meeting, so.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, we will still need to find one. Okay, let's see. Central Library Aid,
No report,
okay. County Aid Coordinators,
nothing.
Library Services, Elaine,
I don't have anything.
Personnel, Linda.
Yes, we met on August 20th for our personnel committee meeting. We discussed personnel and on our agenda was salary increase or salaries. And so we did recommend that we give a raise to our employees. And that was passed on to the budget committee.
Right, and it will be incorporated in the budget, so we'll discuss that later. Does anyone have any questions right now? For Linda? Okay, trustee nominating Janet is not available, and I don't believe that there is any work done on that committee, so we'll continue on. Unfinished business, review latest SALS parking lot estimate, and everyone should have received the estimate.
Yes, so, now I don't remember the name of the firm, but Paul Mays, connected us with a local, construction firm that went and did borings and stuff and provided us with, an estimate, and that is what we will be voting on, under new business.
All right. I love
Just so you know, thank you.
Borings, so good work.
Those are interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, and we do have to vote on that later, correct? I'm just checking my notes. So we'll discuss that again under the library.
Yeah, unless you want me to go into the detail about that now and summarize it later.
Well, might as well wait and do it all at one time. Okay, so under new business, the first is to accept the resignation of Barbara Taylor. We sent a letter to.
Carol,
Yes,
I don't think we revisit the SALS parking lot under new business. I don't know if I mean, I guess we should come back to it, but I think ideally
so we should just do it
we're
now.
looking to see if we want to approve going forward with Del Signor paving and if we want to do that this fall or in the spring. It can be added under new business, but I don't think it's currently there.
Okay, so
What's
I-
there right now is the application for the construction grant.
Let me back up. I don't think I saw that. Well,
Yes,
So, the construction committee started looking at the parking lot over, was it
Yeah.
2 years ago?
I think it was a year.
And we had gotten, through Pamela, she had reached out, and we had a disparity of estimates from, and this was to do resurfacing or repair, patch. We weren't looking at state money at the time. And so the estimates were from like $7,000 to $50,000. And then we got Paul Mays involved. And so he spec'd the requirements out for Del Signor to come in and do testing because of the swimming hole that we have out there in the middle of the lot. And so as a result of that, Del Signor has provided us with an estimate, and that is something that the construction committee looked at earlier today and has approved a bid of $99,000, 50% of which will be state aid money.
So the building committee is making a recommendation to the board to accept this estimate? Right? Okay.
Oh, and so we don't need a motion on that, we just need to have a vote on that, I believe. So is everyone in favor of approving this estimate and giving the work to Dulcie Moore? All in favor, please raise your hand.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Any discussion?
Now, there's another part to this.
Okay,
There's a possibility that we can schedule it for this fall, right?
Yeah, yes, that's my
Yes.
understanding.
so do we want us to do
We
it?
discussed it from finance, not with the finance committee, but just amongst Colleen and myself and Sarah, basically. And we would recommend going forward in the fall now, if we can. And what we'll do is we'll advance the money the state have, knowing that we'll get reimbursed hypothetically next year in order to get it done this year, because it's getting worse and worse. And also to preserve the price. And so I think the board should, vote on that part also.
Would someone like to make a motion that we?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm not sure about the different grants. So on this particular grant, we're allowed to spend money first.
We can spend as long as it's after July 1st of 2024, which it will be. And before whatever the cutoff date is for next year, then we
We
will
can
be
get
eligible for it.
Okay, I know some of them you can't spend money and then get reimbursed. I wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to make, Tom moves that we get this work done as soon as possible. A second is Linda, all in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Thank you. Now, there is something called an assurance which the state needs to receive, which I need to sign, which says that this has been read to you at this meeting and that you are all approving. You do not want to hear me use my second grade teacher voice to read this to you. So you all, Pamela printed it out for everyone. Please take a look at it because I am going to sign my life away and say that this was read at the meeting. Any concerns about that? No. Okay, thank you. All right, so accept the resignation of Barbara Taylor. Barbara sent a letter to Sarah last month saying, or actually it was this, yes, last month, saying that she's recovering from illness and can no longer serve on the board. Sarah replied with regrets, I replied with regrets, and need someone to make a motion that we accept Barbara's resignation with regrets. Okay, Margaret, second, Sue, all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, confusing my paperwork. Okay, JA reciprocal holds procedural change. As you may remember, because I did not remember this morning when I was supposed to remember, but as you may remember, Sarah sent an email in August asking for us to approve in principle that we, set the reciprocal hold state, for Schenectady as of, August 31st. There was enough of us approved that in principle that, Sarah was able to go ahead with that. But we need to retroactively make that approval. So you should all have the emails that were sent around when were they? In August 13th is the one that I have. So I needed someone to make a motion that we, approve ending reciprocal holds with Schenectady as of August 31st. Wayne, a second. Margaret, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. Christine, we're back to you.
Okay, so, we had, 5 member libraries apply for, state construction money. And, in addition to the SALS, parking lot. The total amount of money we had available was $1,245,697. The total amount requested, including the SALS parking lot, was $1,096,000, $677. So in most cases, Clifton Park has a parking lot. They were requesting 75%. Easton has some construction, again, 75%. They were requesting, no, supposed to back up. So Clifton Park was requesting $124,072. Easton was requesting $506,000, 706. Oh man, 506, 221. And Greenwich, lower level lighting and collection space, requesting 75% of the total project, which comes to $70,249. And Lake George, they've been having issues with accessibility, and they are changing accessibility on the second floor and adding a bathroom on the lower level. That's in a request of again, 75%, which comes to $37,068. Then Saratoga was only asking for a 50% match for an elevator upgrade. Again, this is accessibility stuff. The total project being $618,900, and they were requesting $309,450. So because the amount requested gave us another $149,000, we looked by giving that, changing the Saratoga match to 74% rather than 50%. We are now giving them $309,450. Finally, the SALS parking lot, which could not be granted anything more than 50%. The total project of $99,234,000, and requested amount of $49,617. We approved all of the above, coming out to a total of using up all the funds available of $1,245,697.
Christine, I'm gonna make one small correction. The total of 74% for Saratoga is 458,470. It was just a little, you quoted the
Yes, that's right.
50%.
Yeah, that's right. I had it written down and I didn't see my.
That's okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make it clear.
Yes,
So we're able to give everyone what they asked for, and we can increase Saratoga's ask from 50% to 74%.
correct.
Okay.
You're very appreciative, I want to say.
What you might be, thank you. I believe since this is coming out of the committee, we don't need a motion. We just need to, accept the proposal, and grant the money. Is everyone in favor of, parsing out the construction grants in this way? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. Tom, I think we're back to you.
Great. So, beyond the outline that I just laid out, I guess I'd love to open it to discussions with the trustees to, understand or express any questions or concerns they have with the budget as proposed. With those in the discussion and or get them for research. Colleen, you want to kick us off with anything? Yeah.
There was one typo, doesn't affect any of the finances, but in the top column where it says proposed 2025 budget, it should be full funding cut 0.45%.
Okay.
So the state figures out our funding based on education law. And then in some categories, there's education law with a hold harmless, meaning there's a level under which you can't go. And then they always cut. They don't give us the full education law. Last year they cut 4.21, but this year they only cut 0.45. So it's as close to full funding. The number 3.922 that was there is from the difference between our actual appropriation this year and last year. So the state charts all look like this. So just a typo that I grabbed the wrong number.
Okay.
The numbers are all fine. The only other thing I'll mention, and I spoke to Bob beforehand, this tentative budget that will go out currently does include the parking lot repair because we thought we were doing it. We can leave it this way just in case. The project can't be finished this year. It's already been approved. If it does get completed this year, we will do a budget amendment early in the year to amend it. We don't need that. We can return that back to the fund balance. So that was the suggestion, is leave it the way it is, but we can choose to amend it one more time without that. But the project isn't complete.
Yeah, we discussed it. We didn't see the sense of really doing that, but that's up to the board. If you want us to do an amendment, then we'll just do an amendment now and then do it reversing on the next year.
So it was my understanding that the conversations with Del Signar was that, you know, we were pretty much guaranteed a spot place on their schedule this year.
Yeah, I
We're
can't see
not-
any reason. I'm sorry,
We're
go
not guaranteed a spot, but the last time when I checked with them last week, they still had availability. But we were not guaranteed.
Okay, thank you.
We want to get going on that, don't we?
Been waiting for today.
There you go.
Concerning the budget, for those of you that were not at the personnel or the budget committee meetings, the budget is based on a 3.5% raise for staff.
3.8.
3.8. 3.8% raise for staff, okay.
And just anecdotally, I don't remember us ever being that close to full funding.
All right.
So I guess we can thank our representatives in Albany for that. Because by law, they're supposed to give us the full funding, but somehow they get around it every year.
With the correctional facilities being changed, that budget stayed the same or gone up?
That's
Is
a
that?
pass through. So we get the money from the state and then we pass it through, so it's not most of it.
Right. Some is kept for administration.
Right. But if obviously, you know, if they don't pay, then they won't be paying for Great Meadows, so we won't be paying out to Great Meadows, so they should pretty much wash.
I see.
But we won't know, for sure.
Yeah.
Why don't you come on up to the table?
So there's this chart about hold harmless. So if you look at the correction aid, it's based on 9.25 per incarcerated. This is corrections, not jail, corrections. It's based on 9.25 per resident population. That math, according to Ed Law, brings SALS to 13,394. However, the education law with hold harmless, you can look up hold harmless, is actually 33,106. And then they cut that 0.45%, so we got 32,956. So even though now our resident population is
You didn't sign
calculated
anything?
education law of 13,000, we continue to receive 33 because of this whole harmless. It is not clear to me when that number drops even lower because there's no Great Meadow. This whole harmless could remain. I have an email into the Division of Library Development. We have budgeted based on this number, we always do. Use this year's state aid. If I find out from DLD that that is not the case, and for some reason, because the population drops because there's no more Great Meadow, then we would adjust the 2025 budget accordingly, and it is. It's passed through about 35% is passed through for materials for the correctional facilities. The rest of it is administration, such as staff time for interlibrary loan, consulting, delivery, supplies, some continuing education, and that is outlined to the correctional facilities every year. So the answer is, I don't know. At one point, an email did, I say, because of the whole harmless, you're gonna get the same money. It wasn't clear to me whether that meant just this year, because Great Meadow was here part of the year, or if it means a perpetuity, we are going to continue to get this 33,000-ish figure despite Great Meadow closing. I didn't hear back yet. That's short.
Thank you.
So I have a kind of extraneous question, and I understand the distinction between correctional facilities and county jails, and they're administered differently, they're all different organizations. But has there ever been any kind of library aid to county jails?
Yeah, they get jail every year. It's in our budget.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, so on in the income line, it's line number 8. And they call it interinstitutional. And then underneath it says county jails or next to it. And then on the expenditure side, it is line 49. It's about $3,000 a year for the jails. I think it's split between them.
$3,000 split between the 4 counties.
Well, there are only, some of them don't participate. Every year we tell them it's proportionate based on their resident population, and there are some jails that they don't want the money. They say, no, thank you. But then it goes to the other jails. So yes, every year, some jails order magazines, some jails, they can order books. It's not a lot, but they do get aid every year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about the budget? All right, we did not vote on this today. It will be sent out to the member libraries for their comment, and we will revisit it in October and vote then. Okay. All right, E, review and approve JA 2024 budget amendments. A little digging, we got this. So there was an increase in professional fees by $5,000. So they added an income line, from other reimbursements at $5,000. If this isn't making sense, I'm not a budget person, but maybe someone can explain it. The generator required unforeseen repairs, increased generator maintenance by $2,827. Air conditioning required unforeseen repairs, increased building maintenance by $4,000. There was an interest increase by investing in the New York Liquid Asset Fund, which increased the interest by $17,500. And then coming, I'm not sure what is this pertinent here?
This part right here?
Yeah. Were these changes to the budget?
Yeah, that's the summary of what the narrative you just read.
All right.
What is the summary section?
You tell me.
It's just the account code lines
Oh,
that they increased.
Yeah, Michelle unfortunately couldn't be here.
I understand. Right.
And the
She would normally go over.
the 5,000 in reimbursements, the legal fees that are being paid, dealing largely with the JA, Schenectady Public Library, it's been decided that SALS reimburses 25% of them. So that income line showing other reimbursements at 5,000 is a place where they're receiving the reimbursement we do because we're paying for part of the legal fees.
Does anyone have any questions? I need a motion to accept the JA amendments for the 2024 budget. Elaine, a second. Laura, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And then we have the approval of the JA 2025 budget. You all had a link to that and the minutes, which the agenda was sent out. I can tell you that there's an increase in total expenses from last year. Now, I'm not sure what I got from you. Even maybe more germanely to whatever has changed. I know.
Well, the salaries are gonna obviously go up based upon the 3.8, because they go, the JA people are technically on our payroll, so that's the bulk of it. As far as the other individual line items, I wasn't really involved in the preparation of it, so I don't.
There was a second, I didn't print it, but there's a second page to the 2025 draft and it says explanations. And as it goes down, there are some things in the right column that Michelle noted. One is the salary increase. There were a couple other notes to the right side and it was shared, I think, as part of this document.
I don't have it. There's only one page. Yeah, so we don't have the explanation.
Carol, I have that email from Michelle. Do you want me to read her bullet points?
Yeah, please.
Right before the meeting, she sent quick thoughts about the 2025 budget. She said it does not include a fee income from Schenectady County Public Library. It does include system contributions, same as last year. It does not include open JA staff position, which is the programmer analyst. There are two large items up for 5-year renewal affecting the expenses. One is the firewall hardware maintenance, and the other is Barracuda backup appliance, hardware maintenance and professional fees. And her last bullet point is new contract with Innovative Interfaces, our Polaris ILS, then now bundles. So what used to be under software, Polaris hosted and syndicates content is now all under software. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody.
Yeah, actually, it does a little bit, because I'm just looking at the puts and takes on the sheet that was sent out ahead of time. It helps point things in the right direction, right? Because what used to, in the approved 2024 budget for software and software maintenance was 107, and new one's 161. Why did that change? It's because the aggregation of the two lines under it. Although then it shows a net decrease from 24 to 25, which is a little bit confusing to me. As does salaries and benefits. 24 to 25 shows a decrease.
And it's because of
the open position.
The open position.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So that helps stitch this thing together, at least in my head.
And I believe with the new Polaris contract, it was discussed that we get a little bit of a discount for the first year.
I see.
And then,
Yeah, that would make sense too. It's not radically different if you take the sum of the three items in 2024 and compare it to what the 2025 outlook is. It's not, it's within 10%, but it's still decreased, which is a little unnatural in today's era.
I don't really understand that. If the budget seems to have, Polaris has been expensive in the back. I'm sorry, Polaris has been expensive, but now there's nothing. So there's nothing on that line. So they're no longer hosting Polaris. There's a zero next to it.
it's being bundled into everything's under software because they're bundling packages now. When you sign up for your next 5-year contract, they bundle a bunch of stuff together, kind of like your cable network is bundling all of these services into one package for you. So that's why it's all.
Added into the one row above it, that 161 number on the.
I see.
2025.
Okay,
It's the same as the 3 items in the 2024 budget, and they're pretty close to the same.
okay. All
Um,
right, thanks. We see what's
Yeah.
happened. Thank you.
so the overall budget is down expensively, and it's been first on with it.
So total income for 2024 was $1,004,965. It's going down to $905,041. And total expenses on the approved 2024 budget was $1,012,528, which is going down to $951,770.
Did one or the other synopses that we heard at the beginning of this account for the change in professional fees, and I just missed it in the flow? There's a 30% increase in professional fees, right?
Yeah, that's because of the lawyer fees regarding the Schenectady.
Okay,
issue.
okay, that's good, but I always keep
Yeah.
confused with
And then
numbers.
you're gonna see, I think next month, we're gonna do budget amendments on our budget
Hmm,
for 2024, and you're gonna see an increase there
hmm,
in the professional fees.
okay, that makes sense.
So. Does anyone, can we have a motion to approve?
Oh. That I'll move.
Okay, Tom's approving the budget for 2025 JA budget. Linda is seconding. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That was a lot, and I'm, sorry if we were pulling information together at the last moment. So agenda item G has been scratched from the agenda. We do not have to do the United Urban Libraries Unite request. So the last thing I have here is the Director's Council report. Do we have a Director's Council report? No Director's Council report. Okay, any other announcements then? All right, our next meeting is October 15th, 2024 at 1 p.m. at the SALS Center.